Hello, I'm Jim Stewart. I'm an American historian who studies the history of white supremacy in the United States and all the effort that's gone in over the centuries to try and resist it, repeal it, and overcome it. That's what I've been teaching for many, many years. That's what I've written lots of books about. That's how I've gotten myself into PBS documentaries, and I'm here to report that all that public education really hasn't made nearly as much difference in the understanding of ordinary Americans of what the African American experience is and has been. My job is to help try and change that, because art is a vehicle for understanding other people, their perspectives, their points of view, their creative genius, in a way that builds bridges between the people who are doing the looking and the people who are doing the painting. And my job as a historian, a white guy, is to be able to make sure that this message that we've been working on for so long in so many different ways, that racial equality is central to American democracy. That's a message that I think can go a long way and teach a lot in a very short time. How do we do this? We do this by looking at and analyzing the work that you've already seen in the other artist pages on this website. The idea is that they're putting out a message that they think is important. They're creating and inviting you into their world, but not exactly their world. Your understanding of their world as interpreted by you. Their art is sitting there challenging us. Our job is to pick up that challenge and ask ourselves, what does this mean to us? And it's important to understand that in asking that question, you're dealing with artists who are deeply, deeply embedded in history. 400 years of it, since 1619, when the first enslaved person came to Virginia. That history is between the ears and deep in the bones of African American people, generally speaking. They remember things. My sense is that they're our best historians. We white folks look to the future. We white folks are thinking all the time about how we are going to do this or that or the other, and we really do have a national amnesia about how our past is affecting us now. Black people don't do it that way. If you can say that in 1936, my great uncle Fred was lynched in Mississippi, something's going on in your history that you're never going to forget. We don't have those stories. We don't have the stories of police brutality, of low-level violence. We walk out in the street in the morning, look around, and continue walking, we white folks. Not the same for a black person walking out into the street and seeing a police car. Point is, we can't live as white people the African American experience, but we can understand what it means to us in a way that we've never been able to see it before, because these artists are really good at telling us what it's about. Let me give you a lesson that shows how it works. There are 4 works of art that go with this little video. Now you're involved in Jim Stewart's history class. In order to make it a history class, we have to couch it somehow in a conversation between the past and the present. And our conversant for a few minutes is going to be Frederick Douglass. This is from the autobiography of Frederick Douglass, published in 1846. He'd been out of slavery for about 5 years by then. And he decided to write about his experiences as he recalled them when being enslaved, and then to talk about his struggle for freedom. This is on page 2. The very first mental effort that I now remember on my part was an attempt to solve the mystery, why am I a slave? And with that question, my youthful mind was troubled for many days. I saw a slave driver whip a slave woman, cut blood out of her neck, and heard her piteous cries. I went into the corner of the fence, wept, and pondered over this mystery. What's happening here, as Douglas is telling you, is he's discovered a question that can't be answered. Why am I a slave? Am I different from other people? Why are people biased against me? What have I done to them? It's exactly the same question that I've gotten over and over again with African American conversation partners who are asking me why white people are so angry about black people, because what have black people done to white people? There's no real answer to that question. And that's the problem that I think these images are going to help us to understand a whole lot better. We have 4 images that you'll be seeing, and I'll be talking about in order, and they all have to do with childhood. Now, we think about childhood as a time of innocence, a time of discovery, a time of growing up, a time of being supported and loved by parents and relatives. And the idea is, one way or another, that this is the way the twig is bent, so will the tree grow. If that's true, I don't know. But nevertheless, the idea that childhood has something to do with innocence and being protected is really deeply embedded in our culture. So let's look at the first of these 4 drawings. It's by Beverly Tipton Hammond, and it's of a little girl asleep on her pillow with a smile on her face. She's African American. She's innocent. She's protected. She's an ideal of what we would like any child to feel, right? Go quickly and remember Frederick Douglass's story. What will she wake up to is the question that we can begin to ask. And the second of these pictures that I'm going to be showing you, this is a one from Kennedy Simpson. It's red, it's in a square, it's got a little black girl wearing Nikes. You can't see her face because she's got holding a big sign that says, "I am not a crime." Compare those two. See what they say to each other. What does the innocent girl say to the girl who's hiding behind the sign? What does Frederick Douglass mean to both of them? Let's move on real quickly. The third that I'll talk about is one by another of our AHHA artists, and his name is Drew Hammond. It's called Saturday Lessons. Notice it's not during the school week. This is Saturday Lessons, where young African Americans are seated on the ground and being taught by an African American teacher about things that are important to know. But notice what's in the background. What's in the background is an announcement and a notice about slavery. They're exploring the question of why. Now we'll go finally to the last one. Donald Walker shows a little boy holding a newspaper, and in the newspaper there is this big reference to Emmett Till, who was grisly lynched and whose memory is very much in the headlines right now in this time of racial reckoning. The little boy is asking the question, never again? Maybe he's making an assertive statement, never again. Whatever he's saying, you're reading the interpretation for yourself. You can connect all of these 4 pictures to Douglass and to what he said about his own childhood. And suddenly you've got, over a period of a long time, historical memory that creates a way of explaining African American past and present to us who don't live it. What can we do when we know this? We can do lots of things that we couldn't do before we began to know this. These pictures tell us many different things, the ones that you'll see on the website and the ones you can see in AHHA exhibits. You can do the whole of American history in a wonderful way by extracting it for yourself or by getting involved in a discussion group that I lead, because that's what I do for AHHA. I'm the guy who isn't the artist, who tries to enable us all to put the art together to mean something really important so that we can get really grounded and then do something about it.